In August 2017, I made my first ever visit to Universal Studios Florida in Orlando. And I gotta say, I was really impressed with the place. I had been to Islands of Adventure before when I was a kid, but I did not go inside of studios. So this was really cool to see all the cool rides and attractions that I'd seen so many pictures of, and I finally got to experience them for myself. So today I'm going to walk you through an experience at Universal Orlando, what everything is like, so you know what to expect when you go visit. So starting with like arriving at the place, the first thing I want to say is like these parking garages that you park in at Universal Orlando, these things are huge. Like, oh my gosh, I was absolutely blown away. You take these moving walkways and it actually drops you off in CityWalk, which is really cool. It's this place connecting Islands of Adventure and Universal Studios with all these shops and everything. It's really cool. From what I could tell, nightlife there is really neat. So that is a great place to go when the parks close. So I really liked CityWalk, but I want to bring us over to Studios. This is going to be to the right. It's by the Giant Globe. This is the original Universal Park. And you walk in, and they actually use fingerprint scans for everything. So you're going to scan your finger. You're going to enter the park not under the giant archway, but it's actually to the left or to the right. And you're greeted with this like Main Street style thing where you have Minions off to your left, Shrek off to the right. And the entire park is basically one giant loop. Although most of the stuff kind of forms a U, there is one section over by where Terminator used to be that I actually didn't go in at all because I didn't even know that part of the park exists, but it's essentially what connects everything to make it a giant circle. So that part I didn't even know about, so if you don't get a chance to visit that, you're really not missing much. Most of the stuff is going to kind of form this U shape. And right off the bat, I gotta say, the theming at Universal is top notch. There's so much to look at. The amount of detail is incredible. And they have a lot of attractions. Now, most people who know Universal specializes in dark rides. They do some absolutely incredible attractions such as Transformers, Despicable Me, Revenge of the Mummy. It's a roller coaster, but it has dark ride elements. You have Simpsons, Escape from Gringotts, same type of thing. You know, it's a roller coaster, but it has lots of dark ride portions to it. And more, and there's a ton more over at Islands as well. And I know Universal kind of gets a lot of hate where people are like, well, they need to stop adding screen rides. Everything is screen rides. But really, that's what they do really well. So I understand why there's so many screen rides. When you're good at something, why change it? So I was really impressed with all of the attractions. Revenge of the Mummy is an excellent indoor roller coaster. The presentation for each land is really well done, and they transition from one land to the next flawlessly. So that's another thing that I don't think gets talked about enough, but they do that exceptionally well. Now, I'm not going to go super in depth with like all of the rides, especially the roller coasters, because I'll be doing reviews of each one of them if I haven't already. But what I will say about some of the rides is I'll kind of walk you through like some of the theming and stuff, because the theming is great, but they have these really long queues. What's nice is a lot of them actually have a single rider line. So when you go to Universal, you can use the single rider line, which really can help decrease your wait time because Universal gets huge crowds. So that is one tip. You can use the single rider line, which I thought was fantastic. I was so pleased that they had that. And another thing, when you're at each ride, the employees are actually dressed to fit the part. It goes with the theme of whatever you're riding. And I thought that was awesome because they could just have, you know, the same uniform for everything. But instead, you can tell which are the employees based off of how they're dressed. So I thought that was really cool. And then another thing, I thought this was weird, but whenever the ride vehicle comes back in the station, the employees always clap. They're always like, bravo, good job. And I'm like, what did we do? We just rode your ride. So I thought that was kind of funny. So that's really all I'll say much about the rides. You know, all the rides are great and everything. I really enjoy Universal. Like, this is a place that I would go to 9 times out of 10, probably over Disney. They have a lot of IPs that I would prefer over some Disney ones. Harry Potter, I mean, top-notch stuff. It's so fantastic. Diagon Alley is one of the greatest theme park lands of all time. If there's any downside to it, it's that, I mean, everything is like really expensive. So tickets to Universal are really expensive. The food prices aren't great. Like, everything's pretty expensive. Like, if you want a frozen butterbeer, which is so good, by the way, but if you want one, it was like $7.50. It is quite ridiculous, but they do it because they know that people will pay it, and so they jack up the prices because they can. And really, Disney is no better, but that was just one observation I made. Another thing I really liked is that they have some great show elements. Like, another thing that I liked is they have a lot of great show elements. A lot of these rides had pre-shows, and they have lots of like live entertainment. I saw the Blues Brothers out. You have Marilyn Monroe and some dancers. There's Fear Factor Live, which is a great show that you can be a part of. I got to be a part of it, and it was awesome. I highly recommend it. And if you take the Hogwarts Express over to Universal's Islands of Adventure, that whole thing is essentially a show and a ride. It's awesome. I definitely recommend getting one of those park hoppers so that you can take the Hogwarts Express. It's so brilliant. So to just kind of wrap things up, I love Universal Studios Florida. It's a great park. Fantastic theming. They have really good operations, and the park is just designed to handle a lot of people, so everything is so efficient. I mean, I love their locker policy also. This is like the best locker policy I have ever seen. Everything is completely free. You store stuff in your locker and then you come back and you don't have to pay for it. It's fantastic. I think every park should have Universal's locker policy. And I think the final thing worth saying is that this really is a place that you can come back to over and over again. It's some place that you're going to want to spend multiple days at. Universal Orlando really is a resort. You can easily spend multiple days here, and then when you throw in Islands of Adventure, it's amazing. So I love coming here, but I want to hear from you guys if you love Universal Studios Florida. If you agree with my thoughts, if you disagree with anything I've said, you can let me know down in the comments section below. And of course, stay tuned for more park reviews coming soon to Coaster Studios.